This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. I've taken their omega-3 supplements for many years, and so has my wife, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. I'm proud to have them. You can find all of their products online at omegabrightwellness.com, and Bright is intentionally misspelled B-R-I-T-E, omegabrightwellness.com. This episode is also sponsored by Landmark College, offering bachelor's and associate programs, short-term and summer programs for students who learn differently. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College, the college of choice for students who learn differently. Hello and welcome to Distraction. I'm your host, Dr. Ned Hallowell. Today's guest we booked because I had a conversation with her at the suggestion of my colleague who runs our center in Palo Alto. And he said, you really ought to talk to this woman. And I always take his suggestions, so I talked to her. And after I hung up, I said to myself, this person is an absolute genius and has led a fascinating life. And our listeners would love to hear about her. So that's truly why she kindly agreed to come on the show. Just to give you a few facts about her, Adi Diner, Ph.D., is a physicist with experience developing complex hardware products. Adi was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult and found that having ADHD can be a strength when dealing with complex problem-solving and multidimensional problems. Since her son was diagnosed with ADHD, she has been using her problem-solving expertise and innovative mindset to develop new tools to support kids and adults with ADHD. And before I turn over to Adi to expound on that, you should know that she was one of the first female combat unmanned aerial vehicle operators, drones, in the Israeli Defense Force. So I don't know how many women you know who run aerial vehicles in the military, drones, but that's pretty cool if you ask me. So without my talking any longer, let me welcome my friend, genius, fellow ADHD person and parent to Distraction. Welcome, Adi.
Hi. Oh, what an introduction. That's embarrassing.
Well, it's all true. So, and I could have gone on and on, but what do you think? First of all, what if you were to describe ADHD to someone who knew nothing about it, based on your experience? How would you describe it?
I don't like to call it a disability. It's a difference it's a difference in the way we perceive the world and process the world.
Yes.
And I might be even quoting you. When we were hunters, and the best hunters had ADHD.
Yes.
So, and that's just why it's not a disability. We just see the world differently.
Yes. And what are some of the ways you've been helping your son? How old is your son, by the way?
He's 12.
Okay. How have been you using your knowledge and unique perspective to help him?
So he was diagnosed. He was in the third grade. So the main thing we did for elementary school was trying to find ways that help him and help him succeed. But actually, before that, the discussion about ADHD, because it runs in my family, is the same as we discussed here. It's a trait. And he knows about many people that are successful with ADHD. Myself, his aunt, and other people in the family. So he knew it's something he needs to deal with, and we need to find what helps him succeed, like finding the right place in the classroom. Recently, this year he started middle school with COVID, so that was a challenging year, and he has started medication. And the main reason is because we want him to realize his abilities and not I think the biggest risk with ADHD is when people stop trying. He's an extremely curious kid. He draws amazingly and has developed his drawing ability from online and self-learning. And we want to keep his curiosity. Now, that's a strength of his.
Yes. And that it's common. I think we ADDers are driven by curiosity more than anything else. Our mind just goes wherever curiosity leads it.
And that's wonderful. That's how you come up with innovations.
Exactly.
As long as you have the confidence to follow through and to get help when you need it.
Exactly. As long as you don't have people telling you to do what you're told, be appropriate, sit down, memorize, spit back, right? Over the past few months, I've spoken to my friend, the founder and creator of Omega Bright Wellness, Dr. Carol Locke, about the benefits of taking Omega Bright's omega-3s, CBD, and other supplements. Here's a clip from one of those conversations. Could you tell us a little bit about the recent study that showed Omega Bright reduced inflammation and anxiety in medical students?
This is a great study. It was done at Ohio State, and it was done on medical students, 68 medical students without any medical problems, done over 12 weeks. And it was a blinded study, meaning the researchers and the students did not know if they were taking the Omega Bright or the dummy capsules. And what it found was a 20% reduction in anxiety and a 14% reduction in the inflammatory cytokine IL-6. Wow. So that you had a very powerful benefit from the Omega Bright shown in this study. And that's something that people could use right now in their life, reducing their anxiety and stress and inflammation.
Distraction listeners, you can save 20% on your first order at omegabrightwellness.com with the promo code DISTRACTION. Okay, let's get back to the show. So, what are you doing yourself now professionally?
So, I've been, I have a scientific background and I like data. And for years now, I've been thinking about how little data we have around ADHD. And it became even more important to me as my son was struggling with it. And I found that a huge gap is just the question, is the treatment working? I'm not sure for myself I'm getting the optimal treatment. And when you start with the kid and I ask him, did the medication work for you today? And he says, I didn't think about it, right? So I was looking into ways to collect objective data. And I realized that our eyes are the answer. And there are available today eye tracking methods that are very easy. And you can actually see the differences with how the eyes work. And the nice thing is people are not conscious to it. We were doing some initial testing and we tested extremely successful high school students and kids that love reading at night way after the medication is not working. But they're working so much harder. We saw 30% on average improvement in reading speed, just looking at reading speed. That's crazy. And if
improvement on medication?
Yeah.
You found people taking medication, their reading capability increased by 30%?
Yeah.
As assessed by eye tracking?
Yes.
And the eye tracking entails just the movement of the eyeballs?
Yeah, so the eye tracker is basically a fancy camera that sees the pupils of the eyes and where they're looking at the screen. But it's basically set up as a camera on your computer. And it can get so much more than that. We're just beginning to see how much you can learn from it. But this difference was striking with how strong it is. And
how are you marketing the eye tracking device?
So we are on early stages. The goal is to we need to get more data. This is kind of on 10 people. So we're in early stages of developing this, and we'll get the data and we'll get FDA approval to be able to. For this, I want this to be a tool that everyone can use when they're trying any new treatment. It can be medication, it could be biofeedback or nutrition change or exercise.
Anything.
Anything.
Sure.
And then you won't have this, am I doing the right thing for my kid?
Right.
Is this in my head? Am I lazy? I was diagnosed during my PhD, and I still kept thinking, am I just lazy? Everyone has a hard time concentrating. And you see the data, and it's just striking.
Right.
And it's not something someone can control.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I mean, it's such a terrific innovation. And this would be simple and easy to use, right?
Yeah, at home. And the main thing, you can use it at home. You don't need to drive and find an expert. Everyone would be able to use it at home, relatively low cost, and as many times as you need, right? If you had a bad day, you can just do it again in a different day, right? It's just in your home.
Yeah, so you can take as many measurements as you want.
Yeah.
Whenever you want. That's wonderful. I want to tell you about Landmark College in beautiful Putney, Vermont. It is the best college in the world for students who learn differently, with ADHD, for other learning differences, or autism spectrum disorder. It's fully accredited, not-for-profit, offering bachelor's and associate degrees, bridge programs, online dual enrollment courses for high school students, and summer programs. They use a strength-based model at Landmark, which, as you know, is the model that I certainly have developed and subscribed to give students the skills and strategies they need to achieve their goals in life and really expand upon what they believe they're capable of doing. It is just a wonderful, wonderful place, and I can't say enough good about it. I myself have an honorary degree from Landmark College, of which I am very proud. Landmark College in Putney, Vermont is the college of choice for students who learn differently. To learn more, go to lcdistraction.org. That's lcdistraction.org. Okay, let's get back to today's topic. Well, I think we're all looking forward to when you have it ready to go to market. I think I know all of my patients would love to have one of those, and it's terrific, Adi, that you've been so innovative and come up with that.
Thank you. And some of the challenges to get people that are not ADHDers to realize how big a need it is, because anyone that has ADHD or has a family or kids with ADHD knows we really need this objective feedback.
Right. Absolutely. We sure do. I'm sure we'll get comments from listeners wanting to learn more. If people want to learn more, do you have a website?
Yeah, the website is iFocustest.com in one word. So
the letter I, FOCUSTEST.com.
Yeah.
iFocustest.com. And you can learn more there. And you can Google Adi Diner, ADIDINER, and learn about this amazingly multi-talented mom, inventor, drone pilot genius. And, she's just terrific. Thank you so much for joining us today, Adi.
Thank you very much. I learned so much from reading your books and listening to your podcast, and it's been, I keep recommending it to other parents. It's so helpful.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, well, that's our show for today. Please reach out with your questions and comments. Write an email or record a voice memo and send it to us at connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's the word connect at distractionpodcast.com. And, comment on what you heard from Adi today, or anything questions you'd like me to answer, or show ideas, anything. Just send it to us at connect@distractionpodcast.com. distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our recording engineer and editor is the wonderful Scott Persson, and our producer is the tremendously imaginative Sarah Guertin. I'm Dr. Ned Hallowell, thanking you so much for listening.
Hey, this is Sarah, producer of Distraction. Before we let you go, I wanted to remind you about our new Q&A series sponsored by the Foreman School in Litchfield, Connecticut. This week, a mom named Cindy reached out looking for advice on how to help her adult son manage his ADHD. And in next week's Q&A episode, Ned responds to a listener who asks about identifying and diagnosing inattentive ADHD in girls. So that's coming out next Monday. And in the meantime, if you have a question for Dr. H that you'd like him to answer in a future Q&A episode, please email it to connect@distractionpodcast.com. Thanks so much.
The episode you just heard was made possible by my good friends at Omega Bright Wellness. I take their supplements every day, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. You can find all of their products online at omegabrightwellness.com.